Hey, it's Matt from Explore the Civil War, and today we're down in my old stomping grounds at the Chickamauga battlefield to talk a little bit about Harker's Brigade and some of the actions that brigade participated in, particularly on September 20th, 1863, the third day of the fighting here at Chickamauga, and talk a little bit about the movements. I'm going to show you the places that they were at, and just spend a little time out here this morning. It's a beautiful late July morning in North Georgia, so it's hot and humid. But we'll make the best of it and see what we get into. Charles Garrison Harker was born in December 1837 in Swedesboro, New Jersey. A West Point graduate, he rose to prominence in the Civil War, leading the 65th Ohio Infantry at Shiloh and the Siege of Corinth. Shortly before the Battle of Perryville, he was promoted to brigade commander. Promoted to brigadier general after his heroic stand at Chickamauga, Harker fought at Chattanooga and during the Atlanta campaign. On June 27, 1864, he was mortally wounded at Kennesaw Mountain, dying at the age of 26. On the morning of September 20th, 1863, Harker's brigade stood just west of the Brotherton cabin, forming part of General Thomas J. Wood's division in the center of the Union line. His men had spent the early morning fending off probes from Confederate skirmishers. But then came a fateful order, miscommunicated from Army headquarters. General Rosecrans, mistakenly believing a gap had opened in the line, ordered Wood to close up on Reynolds and support him. Following orders, Wood pulled his division, Harker's men included, northward, creating a real gap exactly where Longstreet's assault would strike. Harker's brigade, unaware of the disaster unfolding behind them, moved out of position at the worst possible moment, helping to trigger one of the greatest collapses of the war. One of the generals here at Chickamauga that most people will be aware of, particularly all my Gettysburg folks, was General John Bell Hood. Hood was, of course, wounded at Gettysburg in July 1863 and then was here with Longstreet's corps at the Battle of Chickamauga. And right now, we're going to go see where Hood was wounded. So we're now behind Harker's Brigade. They're a line in the North Dyer Field. This fence row represents the fence row that was here at the time of the battle. Of course, the soldiers would have torn this down, used it as barricades against the Confederates who were attacking in this portion of the field. Directly in front of you, you'll see the knoll that the Confederates were aiming for. There was an artillery battery up there that was firing down on the Confederates as they advanced through the Dyer Field. Starting from the west, kind of going up this fence row to the knoll, would be the 65th Ohio, followed by the 3rd Kentucky. Right here where I'm standing would be the 125th Ohio. And then as we pan further to the east, you've got the 64th Ohio down across the Glen Kelly Road. Now from here is where Emerson Updike, colonel of the 125th Ohio, was given the command to charge when the Confederates down that they could see attacking in this direction under Robertson's brigade, it's Texas Brigade. Emerson Updike was directed to launch a counterattack against the Confederates attacking through the Dyer Field. So he ordered his men forward with a new command, not new to them, but one that wasn't seen very regular and certainly wasn't drilled, called advance firing. The men would advance in 4 ranks, alternating fires and advancing at the same time, so they could lay down a tremendous amount of fire as they moved forward. So Updike's men they leapt to their feet, jumped over the fence, and through these woods. This was a woodlot at the time. It's still here, obviously more overgrown now than it was, to the southern edge of the woodlot, raining fire down upon Robertson's brigade, continuing to force them to retreat south. Okay, so now I'm up on the knoll, looking east towards Harker's line. You can see the fence row in the background. And again, we've got the 65th Ohio up here, followed by the 3rd Kentucky, the 125th Ohio, and the 64th Ohio. And then Robertson's brigade, when Harker initially brought his brigade forward, was coming through the Dyer Field, the North Dyer Field. And they were attacking Schultz's battery up on top of this knoll. Robertson's men started getting fire from Harker and from their own troops located a little bit farther to the west, behind these woods to your right. And they were in the process of withdrawing when Harker arrived. That's when Updike charged through this woodlot to a fence row on the south side. You can kind of see the fence row through the woods there on the corner. And then the point of woods in the far distance is where General John Bell Hood received his wound. After Robinson's men withdrew, Kershaw's brigade charged over the same path coming up through the North Dyer Field with determination. Unfortunately for Harker's men and Schultz's battery, they were unsure of exactly who they were looking at. When Longstreet's corps was coming down through Virginia, they were issued new uniforms. When the jackets were so dark that they appeared to be blue like the Federal soldiers wore, and also they had blue trousers. The Western Federals weren't used to seeing anything in the Confederate Army that looked like that, so they initially thought that the soldiers coming towards them were actually in the same army as they were. So they held their fire, were waving their flags up here on this knoll to try to see who they were. Kershaw later wrote that he thought the Yankees up here were waving their flag ostentatiously, when in fact they were just trying to figure out who those Confederates were. So Kershaw advanced. It was too much for the troops up here, too many men, too great a speed. Quickly overwhelmed the 125th and the 64th here. They withdrew back through the woods. They were being outflanked on the western side, and then Harker's men would eventually just pull back. We're now up here on Snodgrass Hill. This would have been Harker's brigade's last position. Again, the 125th, 65th Ohio front rank, 64th and 3rd Kentucky in the rear rank. So kind of one of them on this side of the knoll and the other one on this side. and then they could come up and fire and doing that. Directly to our rear is the Snodgrass cabin, and I can turn around and give you a view of it. So that's where it is. And then General Thomas, when he was at this position, he made his headquarters where the small stack of pyramids are. And that's where he would earn the nickname Rock of Chickamauga. Snodgrass Hill would become the Union Army's last stand. Colonel Charles Harker's brigade, alongside others, fought fiercely to hold the line against relentless Confederate assaults led by General James Longstreet. Outnumbered and low on ammunition, Union soldiers repelled wave after wave, buying critical time. Harker's men stood firm, their courage preventing a total rout. By nightfall, Thomas's stand allowed the Union Army to retreat to Chattanooga. The fighting at Snodgrass Hill turned defeat into defiance, cementing Thomas's legend and Harker's bravery. Though the Union suffered over 16,000 casualties in one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War.